My name is Claire. I'm 39. And for the first time in 15 years, I'm not sure if my marriage is surviving or simply refusing to die. I wasn't always like this, unsure, half-present, clinging to old photos like they can remind me how to feel. I used to be someone who loved fiercely, who laughed easily, who craved the late-night drives with music turned up too loud, his hand resting just above my knee. God, I miss that woman. I think she's still in here somewhere, but she's quiet now. Tired. When I met Derek, I was 24 and freshly divorced. He had a 6-year-old son from his previous marriage and a laugh that sounded like home. I never expected to fall for someone with a kid, but Sam, he was this gap-toothed, dinosaur-obsessed little thing who took one look at me and declared I was his space captain. I didn't stand a chance. Derek made it easy in the beginning. He'd rub my back when I couldn't sleep, leave post-it notes on the bathroom mirror, hold my hand at parties like it was the first time. And for years, even through the chaos of parenting and bills and career shifts, there was still a pulse between us. Sex wasn't always wild, but it was real. Intimate. We knew each other's rhythms. But lately, everything has gone silent. I don't know when it started. Maybe when Sam left for college last fall and the house felt too big, too echoey. Or maybe before that, when Derek started coming home later, talking less, and kissing me like he was clocking in. His lips still pressed against mine, but there was no pull, no breath held in the spaces between us. Just the muscle memory of love. The other night, he put his arms around me while I was brushing my teeth. From behind, just like he used to. It should have felt comforting, but all I could think was, why now? Why here? And then came the guilt, the one I wear like perfume lately. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the one who drifted first. I don't feel sexy anymore. I feel functional. Like a well-oiled machine of chores, dinners, and polite smiles at family gatherings. I still love him, I do. But I don't want him like I used to. Or maybe I want him, and that's even worse. We tried last weekend. He reached for me under the sheets like he always does, half asleep, breath warm on my neck. I let him. I even tried to close my eyes and pretend I was 28 again. But halfway through, I felt my body go cold. Not physically, but emotionally. Like I was watching someone else's life from above, wondering when mine got so quiet. He didn't notice. Or maybe he did and didn't want to say it. That might be the cruelest part of all, how easy it is to pretend. But the moment everything cracked was small. Too small to be so heavy. 3 weeks ago, I was folding laundry on the couch. Just another Sunday. Derek came in from the garage, sweaty from yard work, and leaned down to kiss my cheek. I turned my face toward him too late. His lips met the edge of my hair instead. He pulled back like nothing had happened. But I saw it. That flicker in his eyes, confusion, then resignation. Like he'd just tried to kiss a ghost. That night, I laid in bed and stared at the ceiling until morning. That was the moment. The exact second I realized we had become two people orbiting each other, never quite colliding. I didn't say anything. I didn't cry. I just knew. Something had shifted. I started thinking about all the little details, how often he calls me babe instead of my name now. How he flinches slightly when I touch his back the way I used to. How I flinch too, but in my chest. I didn't know then that things would take an even stranger turn. That someone else walking in, someone unexpected, would be the spark that forced us both to look at what we'd been avoiding for years. But I'll get to that. Right now, I just need to be honest with you. With myself. Something's wrong. And maybe it started with love. But it's ending with silence. And I don't know how to come back from that. Derek is a high school history teacher, charismatic, sharp, the kind of man who knows how to tell a story that keeps 30 disinterested teenagers from checking their phones for a full hour. People admire him for that. I did too, once. He teaches with passion. But he loves like routine. That's been the slow heartbreak of it all. I think he still believes he's showing up for me. The way he leaves a cup of tea on my nightstand every morning. How he runs his hand down my back while we're standing in line at the grocery store. How he tries, truly tries, to reach for me in bed, always initiating, always assuming the gesture is enough. But for me, it's not the gestures I'm starving for. It's the presence. The seeing. The knowing. I don't want his hand on my waist unless he's also asking me why I've been so quiet lately. I don't want to be kissed if it means skipping the part where we sit on the porch and talk about who we're becoming now that the house is empty. I need more than skin. I need soul. But every time I try to talk about it, it turns into a negotiation. Or worse, defensiveness. Claire, I'm here every night. I make dinner. I take care of the bills. What more do you want from me? I want you to ask me how I'm doing, Derek. Without needing to win the argument. Last Thursday was the latest attempt at closeness. He made my favorite pasta, lemon garlic shrimp with a bottle of white wine chilled like it used to be in our early days. He even lit the candles, the ones we keep around more for show than use. I appreciated the effort. I did. But it felt performative, like he was trying to fix a leaky roof by polishing the floor. We sat down at the table, and he reached for my hand. His thumb brushed circles over my knuckles. You've been tense lately, he said. I thought, here it is. Maybe we'll talk. But before I could answer, he added, maybe we just need a weekend away. No phones. No distractions. Just us. Naked and drinking mimosas like we did that time in Santa Barbara. And there it was again. Sex a solution. I tried to smile, but it faltered. I don't think a getaway is going to fix this. He blinked. Fix what? I looked at him, really looked at him, and he wasn't seeing me. He was seeing a problem to solve, not a woman to understand. This, I said, gesturing between us. I feel like I'm disappearing, Derek. I don't feel met anymore. He let go of my hand. Jesus, Claire. Can't you just try to enjoy the evening? So I did what I always do. I folded myself back up and tucked the ache away. We ate in silence after that. He drank the rest of the wine. I stared at my plate, wondering how we got so good at talking past each other. Later that night, he spooned against me in bed. His hand traced my hip. Gentle. Familiar. And yet. I felt my body stiffen. He whispered, still love you, babe. And I wanted to say, then see me. Please, see me. But I didn't. I let him think that touch was enough. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen making breakfast, shirtless, and humming some old rock song. I watched him from the hallway, wondering if he missed the way I'd stopped humming with him. Wondering if he noticed I'd started sleeping with my back turned more often than not. He caught me looking, smiled like we were fine, and went back to flipping pancakes. That same day, something happened I hadn't expected. I came home early from errands, arms full of groceries, and heard a voice upstairs, deeper than Derek's. I didn't recognize it right away. It was Sam. I had no idea he was home from college. And what I walked in that hallway, well, that changed everything. But I'll get to that. First, you have to understand this, before that moment, the worst part wasn't that I was unloved. It was that I was invisible. And I was starting to wonder how much longer I could live like that. Saturday night. We were watching a movie, something he picked, some more drama he's seen 3 times already. I wasn't really watching. I was doing that thing where I pretend to pay attention while quietly checking out of my own body. Derek had his arm around me. His fingers rubbed circles on my shoulder in a way that once might have made me melt. Now, it just felt automatic. Like background noise. I don't think he even realized he was doing it. At one point, he leaned in and kissed the side of my neck. It was soft. Thoughtful, even. But instead of warmth rising in my chest, I felt my stomach tighten. I shifted slightly, not enough to draw attention, just enough to put a little space between us. He noticed. "You okay?" he asked, his voice low. "Yeah," I said too quickly. "Just tired." He let out a small sigh and paused the movie. "You've been saying that a lot lately." I didn't respond. I wasn't ready for another conversation that ended with him frustrated and me crying into a pillow. He turned to me, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. "Claire, come on. I miss you. We don't even have to do anything crazy. I just want to feel close to you again." I looked at him, really looked. His eyes were soft, patient. He wasn't trying to be pushy. He wasn't being selfish. He was trying, in the only way he knew how. And that made it worse. Because even though I wanted to want him, I didn't. Not in that moment. Not like this. So when he leaned in to kiss me, I let him, but only for a second. His lips touched mine, and I froze. He moved slower, tried deepening it, his hand resting on my thigh now. And all I could think was, don't pull away too fast. Don't hurt him again. But inside, I felt nothing. No flutter. No spark. Just pressure. When he kissed the corner of my mouth and murmured, "Let's go upstairs," I panicked. I pulled back with a weak smile. "Can we just stay here tonight?" My head's just somewhere else." He sat back. Quiet. That quiet that feels loud. Then he rubbed his jaw and muttered, "It's always something lately." "Derek," I started, but the words dried up before I could shape them. He shook his head. "No, it's fine. Don't worry about it." I could hear the edge in his voice, the disappointment he was trying to tuck away. He stood and grabbed the empty popcorn bowl like it suddenly mattered. I watched him walk into the kitchen, his back tense, his shoulders rigid with confusion and defeat. And I sat there, on that couch we'd picked out together 10 years ago, feeling like a stranger in my own marriage. It's not that I don't love him. It's that somewhere along the way, the emotional bridge between us collapsed. And now every attempt at closeness feels like a shortcut straight to sex. No conversations. No vulnerability. Just kissing that leads somewhere I no longer feel safe going. I don't know how to tell him that my body doesn't feel like mine anymore, that it feels like something I owe instead of something I want to share. He's not the villain in this story. I know that. He's still the man who made Sam's third-grade volcano for the science fair at 2 a.m. He's still the guy who held me when my dad died. But he doesn't see the woman sitting next to him now. The woman unraveling in small, quiet ways. And as I sat there, wrapping the blanket tighter around myself, one thought kept repeating in my head like a slow, painful mantra: why does everything have to turn into sex? It happened during dinner. It wasn't anything explosive, no affair revealed, no betrayal confessed. Just spaghetti. Candlelight. A playlist I didn't recognize humming in the background. Derek had been trying harder the past few days, in his own way. He came home early. Asked if I wanted to cook together. Smiled when I didn't flinch at his touch. And I tried too. I really did. I told myself I'd be present tonight. I'd sit across from him, look into his eyes, and find that girl I used to be. The one who used to get excited when he looked at her like that, like she was the whole room. But 5 minutes in, I was already starting to drown. He kept reaching for my hand across the table, even when I was mid-bite. He kept complimenting the way I curled my hair. The way my shirt hugged my waist. And I just couldn't breathe. "Claire, you look really beautiful tonight," he said, smiling softly, his eyes lingering on my collarbone. I nodded, swallowing. "Thanks. You remember that little cabin in Tahoe?" he said, his voice dipping low. "I was thinking maybe we take a weekend. Just us. No phones. Just snow and firewood and maybe, a few things we haven't done in a while." He winked. Actually winked. That was the moment. The exact second something inside me snapped. I put my fork down. Carefully. Too carefully. "Do you ever stop?" I asked, quietly. He blinked. "Stop what?" "This." I gestured vaguely at the table. "The compliments. The touching. The constant hinting. It's like everything we do now is just a slow walk toward sex." He frowned, clearly blindsided. "Claire, I'm trying to connect with you. I thought this, dinner, the cabin, it was what you wanted." "No, Derek. It's what you want," I said, louder now. "It's always about what you want. I could be crying in the shower, and you'd still think a weekend away would fix it as long as we're naked and pretending." His face hardened. "Wow. Okay." I stood up. "Do you even see me anymore? Do you notice how much I'm holding in just to make you feel like everything's fine?" "What are you talking about?" he snapped. "You never say anything." "I'm over here trying, Claire. You're the one who shuts down every time I get close. Because close doesn't mean anything anymore." I shouted. "Your version of close is hands on my body and zero idea what I'm feeling." He was silent. Jaw clenched. Hurt flashing behind his eyes. The worst part? Sam had just come downstairs. I didn't realize he was even in the house. He was supposed to be staying at a friend's place that weekend. But there he was, frozen in the hallway, halfway through grabbing a glass of water from the kitchen, watching his father and his stepmother unravel in real time. "Sorry," he muttered quickly, already backing away, eyes wide. I covered my face with my hands and sank back into the chair. Shame pouring in faster than I could breathe. Derek stood there, hands on his hips, chest heaving. "You always wait until I'm trying to be close to push me away. I don't even know how to touch you anymore. Everything feels wrong." "Because it is," I said, voice breaking. "It's all wrong now. And I don't know how to fix it." I heard a door upstairs close gently. Sam retreating, leaving us to the fallout. It wasn't lost on me, the stepmom, the meltdown, the accidental audience. Just like some twisted play. I couldn't even cry properly at first. I just sat there, stunned. Humiliated. Derek cleared the plates in silence. The candles burned low. The night had been meant for warmth. It ended in cold distance and echoes. Later, I lay in bed alone, staring at the ceiling. I could still feel his kiss from the night before. How hard he'd tried. How much I'd recoiled. And the guilt settled in, heavy and thick. I didn't know what I was more ashamed of, breaking down in front of Sam, or realizing I was grieving something that hadn't even died yet. Maybe I broke it. Maybe we both did. But all I knew was, in that moment, I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to be held. I just wanted to be understood. It's been 3 weeks since the fight. Since I raised my voice. Since Sam saw too much. Since Derek stopped reaching for me at night. We move around the house like quiet ghosts now, Two people who once made a life out of laughter and noise and shared toothpaste, now barely brushing elbows in the hallway. He still makes the coffee every morning, like always. But now he sets my mug on the counter without saying a word. No kiss. No good morning, babe. Just ceramic against marble and the sound of his footsteps leaving the room. I miss him. Not just his body, I miss his stupid jokes while cooking, the way he used to sing off-key in the shower, the warmth of him reading beside me in bed. But I don't know how to reach him anymore. Not after what I said. Not after how I made him feel. One night, I watched him from the bedroom door as he sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his hands over his face like he was trying to erase something. The overhead light cast shadows on his jaw, sharper now, somehow. Older. He looked tired. And for the first time in a long time I saw his pain. Not through the lens of my resentment, but for what it was, human. Real. Quiet and heavy. I don't think I've ever seen him cry, not once in 15 years. But lately, there's a waterline behind his eyes that doesn't quite spill over. Just sits there, waiting. He's not the villain here. He was never cruel. Never careless. He just loved me the only way he knew how, through action, through touch. And I kept hoping he'd hear what I wasn't saying. That he'd intuit what I needed. That was never fair. He's withdrawn now. I hear it in the way he talks to Sam on the phone, measured, overly upbeat. I see it in the way he comes home later from work, spending extra hours at school, grading papers that could wait. It hurts, watching him pull away. But I know I started it. I haven't touched him since that night. Not a brush of the hand. Not a kiss on the cheek. And he stopped trying, too. We sit across from each other at dinner like polite roommates, trading information, not affection. Sometimes, I want to reach for him. Just take his hand under the table, squeeze it, say, I still see you. I'm sorry I disappeared for so long. But I never do. Because I don't know if he wants me to anymore. And that silence between us, it's growing roots. Sam's been distant, too. He barely makes eye contact when he visits, which is less and less. I don't blame him. He walked in on a moment no child, grown or not, wants to see. His stepmom unraveling. His dad breaking. Some nights I lay awake, wondering if this is what the slow death of a marriage looks like. Not a storm. Not a betrayal. Just a slow erosion. One quiet heartbreak at a time. But tonight, something shifted. Derek came home, dropped his bag by the door, and passed by me on the couch. He paused. Looked at me. Really looked. Going to bed, he said, voice rough. I nodded. He lingered for a beat. You okay? It caught me off guard. I opened my mouth, ready to say something real, but all I managed was a faint, yeah. He nodded and walked away. I sat there for a long time after he left the room. Because no, I'm not okay. And I don't want to keep pretending that I am. I still love him. But love hasn't been enough lately. And I don't know if trying again will mend what we broke, or just prolong the breaking. Still, as I sat there in the glow of the muted TV, one thought pulsed quietly in the back of my mind, maybe I'm not ready to walk away yet. It didn't happen with a grand speech. No sweeping music or sudden breakthroughs. It started in the kitchen. The most ordinary place in the world. I was making tea. Derek walked in, still in his work clothes, tie loosened, looking tired in a way I now recognized wasn't just about the job. He stood beside me in silence. For a moment, it felt like old times, the easy kind of quiet. Before the silence started meaning something else. I've been thinking, he said, softly. I nodded, not trusting my voice yet. He leaned on the counter, arms crossed. We keep dancing around it. Pretending like we're not bleeding. I glanced up at him. I know. He let out a breath, almost a laugh. I don't want to live in a house with someone who's scared of me. I'm not scared of you, I said quickly. I'm scared of how far apart we've gotten. I don't know how to reach you anymore. His eyes dropped to the floor. Maybe we forgot how to talk without trying to fix something. The kettle started to hiss. I turned it off and poured the water, my hands shaking slightly. I miss you, he said after a pause. But I also miss who we were. And I'm starting to wonder if we're both just trying to love ghosts. That hurt more than anything. Because he was right. I slid his mug across the counter. I don't want to pretend anymore, I whispered. Not about how lost I felt. How invisible. He nodded slowly. Okay. Then we start there. We don't pretend. Not anymore. We stood in that kitchen for a long time, just sipping tea. Not touching. Not filling the space with promises we couldn't keep. That night, I came upstairs to find him already in bed, lying on top of the covers, facing my side. I crawled in beside him, careful, hesitant. We didn't kiss. We didn't speak. But I placed my hand on his chest, just over his heartbeat. He covered it with his own. It wasn't everything. It wasn't fixed. But it was something. We lay like that until I fell asleep. And for the first time in months, I didn't dream about leaving. Funny how a marriage doesn't break all at once. It's not a crash, not some dramatic explosion. It's the drip of a faucet. The missed goodnights. The way your name stops showing up in his mouth. For a long time, I thought the silence in our house meant failure. That if I wasn't laughing at his jokes or reaching for his hand under the dinner table, it meant I didn't love him anymore. But love, I've learned, doesn't always come with noise. My name's Claire. I'm 39. I've been a stepmom for 15 years, a wife for almost as long. And for most of that time, I thought being emotionally intelligent meant being quiet. Holding space. Being patient. Carrying the weight of someone else's needs without ever naming my own. It worked for a while. But eventually, the things I never said started taking up more space than the things I did. Desire is funny. We talk about it like it's all skin and sweat and urgency. But real desire, long-term desire, is emotional. It's psychological. It's feeling seen when you haven't even spoken. It's someone remembering how you take your tea and how you hide your grief. For a while, I didn't feel desired. Not in the way I needed. I felt touched, but not known. Kissed, but not understood. And every time he reached for me, I recoiled, not because I didn't care, but because I didn't feel safe opening myself up to someone who wasn't asking the right questions. That's what no one tells you about long-term relationships. Sometimes the person you love becomes fluent in a language you no longer speak. I broke down one night, shattered right there at the dinner table. Sam walked in on it, poor kid. I saw his face when he heard the cracks in my voice, the frustration I couldn't swallow anymore. And suddenly, I wasn't just a wife unraveling. I was the stepmom who lost control. The woman who didn't keep it together. But maybe that was the beginning of healing, the moment I finally stopped keeping it together. Derek didn't leave. He didn't fix things with a dramatic gesture or a speech under the rain. He stood next to me in the kitchen and said, "We don't pretend anymore." And somehow, that was enough to start again. Not from the beginning, but from here. From this version of us. Two tired people, still learning how to speak the same language again. We didn't have sex that night. We didn't kiss. But I placed my hand on his chest. And he placed his on top of mine. And I felt it, that tiny, trembling thread of connection. Fragile. but real. I used to think the most dangerous part of a relationship was anger. Now I know, it's indifference. It's the silence that grows like mold in the corners of your home. It's the I'm fines and maybe laters that pile up until you don't recognize the shape of your life anymore. But I also know this: love can survive disappointment. It can survive miscommunication and unmet needs. What it can't survive is neglect. So if you're listening to this, really listening, don't wait for the blow up. Don't wait for the tearful confession at the dinner table or the night you cry into the guest bathroom towel. Speak. Touch with care. Ask questions not to fix, but to understand. And if you're the one who feels unseen, don't shrink yourself to keep the peace. Your silence won't save the relationship. It'll just bury you inside it. Derek and I aren't perfect. We're not even back to normal, whatever that means. But we're trying. And for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I'm disappearing inside my own life. So maybe the surprise wasn't what Sam walked in on that day. Maybe the real surprise was that we didn't break. We bent. We cracked. And somehow, we held. That's what love looks like sometimes. Quiet. Messy. And worth it.